Welcome to the DMF. I am your host, Justin Yance, and this is episode 8, and we are talking about Ready or Not, and I am here with, well, why don't you introduce yourself?
Kyle Duggan.
All right, and he's an actor, and he's great. So, what do you think about this film, Ready or Not?
I grew up on horror movies, and yeah, my dad loved horror movies. I didn't at first, but I've seen enough of them now where I started to fall in love with them. But it's hard to find a new horror movie that doesn't just retread everything else from before. And why I like this one is that it blends horror and comedy and kind of plays with the tropes that you see in other horror movies. It's not too full of itself to make it like an enjoyable experience.
Mm. What attracted you to this? Did you know about this film before? Did somebody recommend this film to you?
Yeah, my brother saw it and he really liked it. We had just gotten HBO Max and he was like, "Oh, Ready or Not's on here." And then he told my parents about it and my parents liked it a lot and my brother liked it a lot. So then he's like, "You should watch this movie."
Mm.
So I watched it and I was like, "Oh, it's not anything I thought it was." For some reason I thought it was going to be like a action thriller style movie. I really knew nothing about it.
Really? You didn't see the trailers?
No, not at
Really?
all.
Wow, that's funny. I thought you would have seen the trailers. Um, so like, what did you think of? Like, I like how they blended the horror aspects with like the black comedy aspects of this film. What
Hmm.
what did you think about that?
I always like it when they do that. I think that a lot of people do laugh at horror movies anyways because of either shock or how ridiculous it is, and uh, to actually put the comedy in there where they are aware enough of their own genre to poke fun at themselves. I think that it's always such an enjoyable way of differing your movie from all the countless B style horror movies. I thought it was really good. I really like because they brought the comedy into the whole entire movie. It made the characters infinitely more likable than a I watched the original Friday the 13th pretty recently, along with the next four movies after that in the Friday the 13th franchise, and they're just not self-aware enough to put comedy in there, and so it ends up being funny because of how stupid it is, essentially. So I always love when they put comedy in there because it just shows me that the writer knows what they're doing.
How do you feel the just talking a little bit about the Friday the 13th films? Do you think they hold up at all?
No, I mean they hold up in I feel like they hold up in the way that The Room holds up, where we are in this realm of watching pretty crappy movies. I think at the time people enjoyed it. There wasn't too much out there like it except for Halloween. But whereas Halloween has a better script and has a hero that you're following, that you believe in, and that you're afraid for the whole entire time, Friday the 13th is just all about these glorified killings. And you don't get attached to any of the characters because you know they're going to die. So
Mm.
then, whereas something like Ready or Not, I mean, we've come along so far in cinema, but in Ready or Not, you follow a heroine that's really likable from the start. You really are rooting for her from the first part, but you're scared for her at the same time. In Friday the 13th, you're not really scared for the characters because you don't know them.
Hmm. What did Yeah, see, that's something that Ready or Not does really well is keep you caring about the characters. Like
Yes.
I felt like all the characters, like they don't really get lost. I mean, other than maybe the maids, but
Hmm. But
else,
even the maids, I was like, oh no, they're gonna. At a certain point, you know that they are all gonna die,
yeah.
and at a certain point, you feel really bad for them, especially the maid and the dumbwaiter, and you're just like, oh God, I know what's gonna happen here, but it
I,
makes it funny because it's a recurring joke almost.
what did you think of the cast as a whole?
I thought they were all really good. I mean, I did not expect to see what's the name of the brother, the
Adam
Brody,
Brody.
Adam Brody. I hadn't seen him for a while, and except for I saw him in the league pretty recently. But
Oh yeah,
I,
he
yeah, he was good in that, and I always am impressed with his acting. I think
yeah.
every actor I really fell in love with the way that they were characterized and the way that they all played comedy so well, but they were not playing the comedy. They were very everybody was like so invested in their motivation the whole entire time, and they were all pretty selfish in terms of their motivation. But I believed them, except for I will say the great aunt, the
Yeah.
one that uh, I feel like she was playing too much into the she was overacting in my opinion in terms of her trying to play this character really hard. I feel like the other characters were
See, there's a funny thing.
subtly doing that.
The Fox Searchlights, when they like were looking at the dailies, they were a little bit like they kind of felt that way about
Hmm.
Nikki. That's the name of the actresses who plays. Well, no. Yeah, who plays Aunt Helene? She when they saw that, they thought this may be a little too much. But then they,
Yeah,
as it went along, it kind of added to. Yeah, that for me, yeah, it does kind of like bring it a little bit into like this camp thing because she kind of looks
yeah.
like she's out of something out of the like the Munsters or something, or the
Hmm.
like.
And I understand what they were trying to do in terms of juxtaposing a lot of the characters who are doing it for a very specific reason, but are hesitant to do it. And then you have her character, which is very gung ho about doing it. But I feel like her early character was very much lost. They, uh, I feel like I don't know in what order they filmed it, but it would have been nice to feel as if they're the same person. Whereas I feel like Aunt Helene that we see throughout the most of the movie and the one that we see in the when she's young, they don't match up for me. They are totally different. They're differently played. Um, you lose. I feel like you lost a lot of the humanity of Helene with
Mm,
the overacting because it just was. It was also didn't match up with the other actors. I feel like when you make a movie, um, as an actor and also as a director, there has to be that understanding of everybody has to kind of be on the same plane in terms of their acting. If you're going to do a overacting movie, a very campy movie, then everybody kind of has to stay at that level. Um, just kind of as an actor, keeping a finger on the pulse of what does the rest of the movie look like? What are the other actors doing?
mm. Well, you know that scene though that Helene is talking about when she's, they've got uh, Alex. He's like he's tied up, and they think
Yeah.
he's knocked out, but we see that he actually was listening the whole time. And she's saying that basically it's his destiny to be the head of the family. And she said
Hmm.
the one thing that she wishes she did was that she did kill, her
Yeah.
husband, that she's the one who like did that. So in some ways, I feel like she's kind of been playing penance for that.
Hmm.
Do
Yeah.
you think that do you not feel that that kind of grounded her a little bit, or I mean, for me, it's such a quick scene.
It is such a quick scene, and it was I remember the scene you're talking about,
Mm,
and I think it's very good for giving the ant motivation. Uh, but I think that it's still for me her acting ended up being just over the top because her motivation was to kill. There was it didn't make sense to me why she was doing it as much as the other characters. It wasn't as clear. I understand why the character wanted to do it, but in terms of the acting, you felt from the brother that he was doing this because he still cared a lot about his family, but he was so hesitant, and there was that constant obstacle. And she was the only one who didn't really have any obstacles.
mm.
She just really wanted to murder, which made the character less human.
Yeah.
Um, and juxtaposing that, the dad and the mom, like the mom is also hesitant, but the dad is not hesitant about doing it because he wants to save his family and because it's their duty and things like that. That I feel like if she matched up with the father somewhat more in that way, where it was purely saving the family driven, like family first. And you can just feel that from him as the patriarch. And she's almost like the matriarch, even though the mom is technically matriarch or whatever. But the aunt should have also kind of been in line with that. Whereas from the very start of the movie, she just comes across as unlikable in terms of because you discussed the costuming in your previous episode of Ready or Not with the
Yeah.
shark fin, where she's that dangerous kind of
Yeah.
character. But it also came across to me as if it was somewhat goofy because she was the only character whose
Out of
design was so out of left field.
Yeah, like she's a woman out of time. You
Hmm.
know, she's
Yeah.
she's because she doesn't feel like. I mean, there's those points where she's talking to Grace and says, what does it say, girl? you know, like nobody
Yeah.
ever say that. Even if they hated
Mhm.
her. Like that. That sounds like something from like like I don't know, like the medieval times or something.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. She speaks in this like old, yeah, medieval lingo.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's so I feel like in that way it works. I just was not very fond of I just for me the acting just didn't match up when it comes down to it
What?
in
What?
terms of just her.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh no, that's it. And a lot of people might disagree with me, but I just didn't it just was too much for me. It just like you said before, it just felt too campy
Yeah.
sometimes during her scenes.
It's almost like they were using her as the comic effect, but she really isn't. She's just kind of
Hmm.
place in the film.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I do love that final scene where all their heads explode and she's about to like run at like that was a good moment. I wasn't expecting it. So I think there is some payoff in terms of the end there where she is so like gotta kill, gotta kill, gotta kill. And the final moment when she has the real opportunity to do it, her head explodes. So I feel like
When
in that way it's earned a little bit.
when you saw that the no, I just lost my train of thought there. Did you did you feel like when what did you think of Alex's? Actually, no, I just realized it. The Ryan Murphy, not that Ryan Murphy, but the writers of this and Guy
Mhm.
Busick, their whole idea was that this family came from like made a deal from another time, and now they've been living really nice, and now they're a family that basically they said can't even really has never even changed a tire, and here
Mhm.
they are having to kill somebody, and they don't really know what they're doing anymore. That was
Yeah.
my concept, was this rich family that has no idea how to kill anything, and they have to kill this woman who has no family.
Mhm.
You can tell since she came from foster care that like she's a tough girl. She's got the tattoos on her and everything. Like she can handle herself. Like it. I wouldn't say she's like grown up in a house of blood, but she always rises to the occasion.
Mhm.
They have like
Yeah.
no idea what they're doing.
Yeah. No, I think that's I remember listening to your first episode of this podcast in terms of Ready or Not, and I totally agree with that. I think that this movie does provide a very clear point of view about just difference in class. Uh, People who are lower class tend to have more physical hardships than
Mm.
say somebody who is in this family's position where the only hardships that they've really had to face are uh, you know the fact that they're the 1% and whatever, and that when they're finally presented with this dilemma where they actually do have to deal with this hardship of doing something, like it just was so. I thought that was a cool thing because it did show the difference between she is scrappy because she probably did get into fights when she was younger in the foster care system, or she probably did have to deal with a bunch of jerks trying to assault her in certain ways that this family has not had to deal with.
Like when she punches the kid, like you
Hmm.
can kind of tell like that's probably not the first time she's thrown a
Throwing
punch.
a punch.
Which
Yeah.
you look at like Emily, who like can't even shoot someone at point blank range.
Mhm.
I always love that part
And
where
then it
she's just
ends up,
she screams,
yeah,
drops the
she just,
gun,
yeah,
almost shoots them. She's
yeah,
just like awful.
yeah, yeah. You're presented with these two uh, people who are the same age, I
Yeah,
assume, right? That sister is the same age, so it's as if you're seeing these two uh, same age women who got brought up in different
yeah,
environments, and whereas Samara Weaving's character, she'll get hurt or she'll get her hand shot like clean through, fall into a pit, and she'll do all these things, and she'll be
yeah,
screaming during it and may cry, but she's purely action driven. She's so survival
yeah.
focused.
Whereas Emily just kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing. Somebody help,
Yeah,
and it's, you know,
and is just crying for her
yeah.
daddy. But that's something that Samara Weaving's character has never had the opportunity to do. She's never been able to rely on parents to fix her problems. She's always had to do it herself.
And I think Emily kills the first two people. Like if she killed
Hmm.
the first maid, Grace would have no idea what's going to happen. Like they kind of
Yeah.
her incompetence allows Grace to figure out, oh, they're actually going to kill me. Oh,
Hmm.
okay. I
Hmm.
thought we were just going to play a fun game. I love how they set that up. Like she's just like, okay, I'm done. I'm done playing hide and go seek. I'm gonna go. Ah, you
Yeah.
got me. Like, no, we have to kill you.
I really love that too, because you constantly cutting back and forth between this family getting prepared with their crossbows and their medieval weapons, and then you just cut over to Samara Weaving, who's just like giggling to herself and just sitting in the dumbwaiter, like, oh, okay,
Yeah,
whatever.
she's just like, okay, this is boring. What did you think of that music that they got for that old timey hide and seek song, which is just perfect for that scene?
I thought it was really good. I think also it's a huge callback to how many horror movies use children's
Mm,
songs
good point.
for their horror movies, but in that way that they're kind of serious almost, where they're like, "Ooh, this is creepy," because it is kind of creepy to have children's music in a horror movie, but it's been so overdone that it was interesting to see it done differently in this movie, where y the main character was kind of weirded out and giggling by that music too, and the fact that they could all hear the music the whole entire time, and it's like a tradition that's been for way too long that they all think is
Yeah,
ridiculous, but still has to happen.
yeah, yeah. Okay. What did you think of Alex's character? I thought he was a unique character.
I thought so too. He was someone I was rooting for along with Samara Weaving's character from the start because he seems like a hero character, and also in terms of looks, he's a traditional hero looking
Yeah.
character. You know, well built, like buff, um, sensitive dude, and things
Yeah,
like that.
arms
But at the
got
same
hit.
time, you're like, I don't know if I trust this guy because he still brought her here with the potential that she might be killed or he might have to hunt her. So yeah, I thought his obstacle like he was it was his character was written really well because he had so many clear obstacles and also such a strong motivation, but he also didn't know what he wanted
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, like for me, I when he kind of makes his turn, he just witnessed his brother
Mhm.
die. I don't think he
Yeah.
knows that she didn't kill him.
Yeah, no, that's what I think so too. I think that he saw his brother dead, assumed that she did it, and then he kind of realized,
He's
oh
his
wow,
mother.
like if I don't do this, my
Yeah,
parents will die. Like my
he's his
yeah,
mother
exactly.
dead. She's just been beat to death with a
Hmm.
box.
Hmm. And his mother has, throughout the film, proven herself to be very caring, and she's still trying to do the hunting things, but she is also very hesitant. She's very similar to Alex because she doesn't want to be doing this, but she knows that she has to do it for her family.
Yeah, yeah. I like that. like when he makes the turn, he says to her, you're not going to be here when this is over. And like that thing that
Hmm.
kind of triggers him. It's like, okay, I just lost my brother. He was the guy that was kind of pulling him back. Like when he's choking his
Yeah.
father, the only thing that's keeping him from actually killing him, which kudos to that guy because he actually allowed him to actually choke him. And the stunt coordinator saw that and he was furious. He was like, no, that's not how we do this. But already wanted
Yeah.
to,
That's violating so many regulations.
yeah, like he wanted him. He was like, choke me. I want to like almost die. Then he let go, but like he's still like, what side are you on? He can't breathe.
Yeah, it seemed
Yeah,
really, really
but
realistic.
it was real. I
Jeez.
yeah, Tarantino. He when they have the choking scene to what is her name? Diane Kruger's character. That was actually Quentin's hands because he didn't trust anyone but him to actually do that scene. Something
That makes
that,
sense. Like as a director, you're like, oh, I mean, I want to make sure that all the responsibility, I know exactly what I want to do with
yeah.
this. Yeah, that makes
Whereas
sense.
that guy was just like, yeah, just choke me for real. That's a 10. We got it. Moving on to the gate.
Yeah, I feel like as long as the person who's having it done to them is okay with it and there's that full trust and it's talked about, it's always good. It's always weird if the actor has not gotten permission and does
Yeah,
it, then that's like where you get into that real, oh, that's actually technically assault.
yeah. Did you see the part where I talked about how Samara Weaving said that when he was choking her in the scene and like transforms, she said his eyes turned black.
Oh yeah, yeah, I
Cool,
did hear
like
that.
little touch. I'm like, wow, you know, so he's an actor.
Yeah, geez, for your pupil to just dilate
Yeah,
naturally during that, that's scary.
yeah. No, they were
I'd be scared. I'd be like, what the
side
F is
with
going on?
yeah, we're gonna dilate his eyes. Okay, all right, we need your eyes to turn just the right time. No, like, have you seen?
They probably shot that so many times and they were like, I mean, we got to use
Yeah,
that one. His pupils dilated.
have you seen Samara Weaving any of our other work?
Yes, I've seen. You mentioned that she was in Three Billboards. What would she play in Three
Remember
Billboards? It's been a while since I've
um
seen that movie.
the girl the girl that John Hawk's character, Francis McDormand's like husband, is like just kind of having like a with,
Hmm.
and she's just kind of
Oh
she's in a,
yes.
a book. Yeah, I read it in a book. Like she's just
Oh,
so
that's her.
naive.
Yes, I
Like
do remember that. Yeah.
you could see, like even there, like she's too good to be like just that dumb. You know,
Hmm.
she's either
Yeah,
dumb.
no, I really liked her in
Yeah.
that. I liked her in this. I saw a different movie with her in it before I saw
Ooh,
this. It was it's a movie on Shudder, but I don't remember what it's called for the life of me. But it's also got Stephen Yuen from The Walking
is that
Dead
the?
and Sorry to
Oh,
Bother
oh,
You.
I know what you're talking about. The one where she's like they're like in an office or something, and she's
Yes.
like,
But I feel like the
yeah,
difference between these two, yeah, and him and her are trying to make their way up the office building to get revenge, essentially. But it's that movie is it tries a little too hard to be hardcore and gross and funny, but in like that very kind of like, oh yeah, everything's bloody and there's so much sex going on. We got sex and blood and comedy, where it just kind of tries too hard.
it looked like
Um,
Wanted from the trailer. Like they were like trying to do Wanted, the sequel, without
mhm.
Nina Joe
Uh,
McAvoy.
yeah,
Did you?
there's that kind of feeling of wanting that comic book violence for the movie, but also in that specific movie, the characters were a little too unlikable, and they were just going for that shock factor and that gross factor that Saw has sometimes. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Where it's like, ooh, we got blood. Oh, there's people boning on in the office space because they're affected by this drug that makes you just do whatever.
Yeah.
It just didn't really work too
Like they
much.
said,
So that was the last thing I saw
Wall
her
Street.
in, and she wasn't bad in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like these Wall Street executives. But I didn't think she was bad in it. But I also just didn't like the script of it, and I didn't like the
Yeah.
movie. So I didn't know for Ready or Not whether or not I would enjoy her performance for this, but it just showed that me that wow, I mean
Yeah. A lot of range.
she is like amazing. She's got a lot of range, and if you give her the script that she deserves, she kills it.
Did you see The Babysitter? I still haven't seen that. I want to like
Oh
get
no,
that on Netflix.
is she in that?
Yeah, she's in that. She's like the babysitter that the kids kind of like covet or whatever, or like, but then they kind of like, I think she's like chasing them or whatever, trying to kill
Hmm.
the kids that she's babysitting, something like that. I don't know. But I heard that
She's
was,
filling this niche of uh, horror films right now. This kind of and she's doing it really well in terms of being that horror actress that's in right now.
yeah. Well, she was hesitant to take this film. Her fiance is the one, or maybe her husband. I don't know. He said, you got to do this role. This is like really well written, and he's a writer, so he was kind
Hmm.
of need to you need to do this. This
Yeah, I don't really think I could. I always enjoy when I watch a movie and I can't really imagine a different actor doing it.
yeah. Who
And in
would
this
it?
case, she's perfect for it. Her little quirks and her little mannerisms, even from the start, where she's playing around with her fiance and
Yeah,
like dancing around. She just has this kind of playfulness that's really nicely juxtaposed with how fast she gets thrown into this from the very
yeah,
start, right up until when she sees the person getting killed. She she's just having a good time and she's enjoying herself. She didn't. I feel like there's sometimes within movies or plays, actors have the tendency to foreshadow what's going to happen later and
yeah,
just play the tone of the end of the movie, whereas she just expertly doesn't show that until it's absolutely necessary.
yeah. What did you think of the Fitch Bradley character? I love that character in there. Here he is. He's googling or he's YouTubing how to how to shoot a
Oh
crossbow.
yeah, I mean, I saw him in Orphan Black like a while ago, and I loved that show when I saw it, and I always liked him in it. He played also a very kind of unlikable character that's also likable because of how doofy he is.
Yeah,
But yeah, I thought that he was really good in this. I heard that you mentioned on the previous podcast that he improvised
yeah, a lot of it.
some of the scenes. Yeah, that's impressive.
Like he had
No, I
he
really liked his performance.
he had the idea that when one of the people explodes, that he gets the blood in his mouth and he would like spit it out. Like the producers
Hmm.
said, one of the producers, he's like, "Can I get it in my mouth?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, sure, it's fine." He's like, "No, no, no." He's like, "I want to get it in my mouth so I can like do a little bit with it." I love the part
Yeah,
where
no, I thought that he was such an interesting character because he also didn't want to be doing it, but he was going to do it just because he just loves being rich.
yeah, that was his thing. Like the first scene we see him and he's like, "Oh man, we wanted to get a flight out here, but who wants to fly commercial?" Like everything we know about him. He's going to be late for his wife's brother's wedding because they don't want to fly commercial. They have to charter a plane. Yeah. He basically, yeah, he's just in it for the money, and he's googling how to is a pact with the devil. Is it bull? So fun.
It was interesting to me that it was very much a character that would not have minded if any of this went down, if the rest of the family had a murder, but he just didn't want to do it himself. Like he just was
Yeah.
like, I
Oh,
just would rather not. But he
just
was not opposed to it. He just wanted to party. That's all he wanted.
but
He just
this
wanted to have a good time.
the lights come, when they're like, "We're out of time," and he's like, "Nothing's happening," and he's just like,
Yeah.
"I knew it. There's nothing here." And then all right, let's go to that part. What did you think of? actually no. We'll come back to that. I want to talk a little bit about the butler, because I thought he
Hmm.
was an interesting character. Like that could have been just a boring, nothing character, and I thought that guy added John Ralston added so much to it.
Hmm.
What did you think
Yeah,
of the character
I would agree. I expecting him to.
together? All right. So what did you think of the butler character?
Yeah, so I thought I really like the Butler's character. I do feel as if he resembled once he gets the hot tea or hot
Yeah,
water on his face and it gets burned, he resembles a classic horror movie villain.
he really does.
Yeah, like the killer, the Freddy or Jason character that just is not going to stop until he succeeds and just constantly receives these injuries and is just not going to stop. I thought it was really cool. I really like the idea of the character.
Like I love the part where like he got that like hot water put on his face, and he doesn't even put. He's just like he's
Hmm.
still at the job, and then he has that part where I'm gonna find her, sir, and I'll fix the fence tomorrow. you know, like that's what he is determined. He's like, I work for these people. It does not matter if I live or
Hmm. And he's not
die.
phased. The rest of the family feels as if they're somewhat affected by what they have to do and they're phased by it. But this butler is, he's calm pretty much the whole way
Yeah,
through. He has his job that he's doing that he probably gets paid really good for. He probably comes from also a not super well off family. He's just happy to be in this situation and he'll do whatever
no,
it
that's
takes.
like I love the part where he's in the car. He's in the car. He's like, I've got her. I'm gonna listen to 1812 as loud as possible. And
Yeah.
he's so excited, and then here's the family, and they turn the music down.
I wonder if
It's
his
great.
if that character if that character every time that happens, like every time the death happens or he succeeds, that is his general music that he plays
Hmm.
as like a congratulations to myself, congratulations to the family. You know what I mean? Like is that because it seems
That's a
like
good.
something that is it's his ritual almost.
Yeah, because we see him when he comes into the kitchen. He's whistling
Mm-hmm.
1812, and he's
Mm-hmm.
like, then he starts like singing it like da 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 da. So like, yeah, that was kind of like his little theme.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
It was a
stuck
nice
in.
addition. It could have been a very just uh, lackey kind of character. He didn't need to have those extra. I think that's what this movie does really well too. Is it gives each character specifics, and
Yeah,
it allows the actor to have something to play with. Like each character has something that is theirs, is their habit, is their ritual.
yeah. Like for me, when they all die, I'm kind of like, I kind of like all these people. I
Hmm.
don't want them to
Yeah.
keep them. They're too interesting. Even the kids of Emily's, I was like, they're kind of.
I thought it was good that they didn't show the little kids' heads exploding, and that you just
Well,
see the blood splatter and you hear it.
they couldn't show that. They said. I think they kind of had like that was kind of a thing they had to do is they had to get killed like off screen.
Hmm.
What did you think of Tony, the father character?
I thought he was really good. I think really good. I understood his motivations from the start. I understood that he was going to do whatever it took to protect his family, and that he was yeah. I thought that it was very clear, and it was a nice juxtaposition to the other characters being so hesitant. He wasn't hesitant because he fully believed. It was very much kind of remind me of you have that classic family dynamic of the especially in Catholic families, I feel like, or religious families. But
Hmm.
mainly I've experienced with Catholic families where the father is really rigid and almost militaristic in a sense. And then the mom is slightly the more sensitive one. And then you have I just feel like the family dynamic was very clear for me, and him sitting at the top of it was just something that I've experienced before, especially with wealthy families. You just see that dynamic so often, where
Hmm.
I have a friend who has this who was dating this girl, was his girlfriend, and I went over to their place for Thanksgiving, and it was this classic kind of Catholic experience where we were all sitting at this long table. He was at the head of the table in his specific father specific chair, uh, and you couldn't swear at the table. This dude
Yeah.
had perfect posture. When he gave you a handshake, it was as if he was trying to crush your hand almost. It was almost one of these situations where you're like, "Hey, dude," and this character reminded me a lot of that. Just
Yeah.
that father that just like needs to loosen up. Like this dude is just so rigid in what he believes. He will not. He's stubborn. He's not going to listen to other ideas. He knows what needs to be done, and the rest of the family follows it. I thought it was a very it made sense to me in terms of the
Yeah.
dynamic.
Yeah. Had you seen that actor before?
I think so. What other major movies has he done? He's very recognizable to me.
He was in the first Mission Impossible. He's the guy that when they're like sitting there talking, and he says to Tom Cruise's character Ethan, he says, "I can tell you're very upset right now." He's
I
like, "So
do
why don't
remember that.
we walk out of here?" Like he's the guy that's like kind of on Tom tail. Like he's a good guy, but he's a guy
Hmm.
annoying. Also, he was on the show Revenge. If the people in white coats come to get you, then Kyle.
Yeah, yeah. No, I live on a very busy New York street where, I mean, right now there's a ton of people. I think it's people shooting off fireworks still and like
Really?
exploding there. Yeah,
4th of
it's
July
party
was.
central here. Yeah, I think they got the
So,
dates wrong. I think it's constantly 4th of July here.
is that what's happened in New York now? New York has become 4th of July every night of the week.
New York right now is just people partying in the streets. Not
Wow.
everybody, but like maskless people partying in the streets, bumping music and stuff, lighting off fireworks.
Wow. Oh, that's great to know.
Yeah,
Did you ever see the show Revenge?
I did. I did. What did you say he played
He
in
was
Revenge?
he was in that. He was in Revenge. He played a prominent character in that.
Hmm. I like that show. I haven't finished it. I'm still I think season 2 or something like that.
Mm,
But I think I do. I think that's probably where I remember him mostly from.
yeah. What did you think of Andy McDowell's character, the mother character?
Oh, I thought she was really good, and I've seen her a lot before.
Oh yeah,
But and
awesome.
I've always liked her in whatever she's in. I
Great.
think that she. I thought it was a really cool idea to have her character be killed off. I think the two characters that you didn't want to see
Yeah,
have their heads explode essentially were Annie McDowell's character and Adam Brody's character because they were so sensitive and so hesitant and they were actually really good people and they cared about people other than themselves.
yeah.
Uh, that I feel like I mean she played it very well as somebody who was not who was going to do what it took but didn't like it at all. Just having to weigh those two constantly. She did such an amazing job at that.
What did you think of Charity, Adam Brody's wife?
I also thought she was really good. And she was also not hesitant to get stuff done because I thought that she played this really good version. She was basically how I thought of it is Samara Weaving's character. If
Yeah,
because they both, yeah, it's kind of Samara Weaving seeing how she would have ended up had she been inducted in this family.
that's a great. Well, I don't know if she would have ended up like that. Because she's good of heart, so even I think
Mm.
she would see through that stuff. But yeah, it's like a mirror image because the two that the two rough girls, and here's
Yeah,
her. She's just like, I just care about me.
yeah.
I love.
It was kind of seeing, yeah, two separate characters who have come up with rough upbringings and but kind of turned out to be different people.
Yeah, yeah.
I agree, and I think that they do that a lot in movies. I forget what the phrase is called, but you have the
Top
main
again.
character, and then you have what the character could be, like in front of the main character. The main character sees that and is kind of a warning signal to that character. I think there's a specific phrase for it, but I do not remember.
You ever
But
see
I
the
always
film
enjoy seeing that.
Naked? Mike Lee's film.
Oh
Um,
no.
Damn, I can't remember the actor's name, but in there they kind of play up that mirror image of like this is what he is. He's a rapist in this, but he's not this guy who kills
Hmm.
people and is a lot worse than this guy. And I thought that was
Yeah,
yeah, it's cool when they do that in film, and I thought they did that really well in this film. Let's talk about the ending scene. Did you think the them exploding was too much?
I don't, because I always what I love
Mm.
in so many movies is the unexpected. I feel like you see so many movies in your life that you start to expect, especially in a horror movie, you start to expect when there's going to be a jump scare, when there's going to be this happening, when there's going to be that happening. I by the end of this the movie, I didn't know along with the family, I didn't know whether or not they were going to die. I was leaning towards the fact that they weren't going
Yeah,
to die. So I was expecting them to kind of have to deal with that. And then when seeing their heads explode, I thought it was such a out of left field thing that was just ended up being really funny and really enjoyable for me.
because originally she was gonna die. They were gonna get.
Hmm.
I that could have worked,
I think
but
that would have been a totally
yeah, it
different
would have
movie. I
whole
feel like that
different.
would, yeah.
And I
I feel like it would have ended up being something that is more B movie esque. You expect her to die. You expect like you'd be like, okay, well,
well,
but I feel like having their heads explode kind of like handles the whole
yeah.
movie in the way that it has been the whole entire time. It's a comedy,
If
and so having that comedic thing happen was good.
like she died, then it's got to be something more like The Witch or something. Like it's got to be a dark film from the
Hmm.
very beginning, and there has to be those undertones really ingrained. From the beginning of this movie, you kind of get the feeling this is a fun film, not
Hmm.
not like
Yeah.
this is not the audience that's going to go in there. This isn't Cosmopolis or what's another film that I saw? Their Enemy with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh
Where
yeah. Yep.
you're leaving them with, oh, nobody ends up well here.
Hmm.
It's that kind of
Yeah.
under the skin where it's like, oh, it was
And in the case of if she died, it would have made it seem as if it was more of Alex's movie,
yeah,
and his journey was would have been more important in that scenario. I think that having them all explode in her face uh, was very like it was good, and it made it so that she had the kind of last laugh.
yeah,
She almost had what she wanted, but then she kind of realized like fuck, like maybe I don't need a family.
yeah. It was like she's just. It's kind of like she's just. If they killed her off, it would be like just doing it to do it. Like, oh, here's this
Hmm.
thing right out of left field. She died.
And also, if they made a second movie, it would be following the same family, and we've
Yeah.
already experienced that family. I think it would be better if she ended up we followed her character or something like that, or a different family. I don't
What do
know.
you think
I feel like
happens to her? Because I mean, she's in a house with all these people dead.
mm,
I in this day and
I think she probably
yeah,
gets arrested.
get her. I see her going to like an insane asylum or like she's either
Yeah,
fine or she's going to be catatonic and just never.
yeah.
Which I think if they showed us that, that would be kind of like then it's like Halloween 2, the Rob remake, where
Hmm.
it's like, oh, she went.
Yeah.
Good night, kid.
I feel yeah. I feel like she seems fine by the end of obviously she'll be
Yeah.
affected by it. But I think that it makes sense that she would end up being because what can she tell these people
Yeah.
that their heads exploded? They're not going to believe that. And it's a very wealthy family. So I feel like she'll get prosecuted for it.
Yeah, like if Charity was the one that did it, you'd be like, they attacked me. I had nothing.
Yeah.
You go to
Yeah.
jail.
Yeah.
Like I love the part, like the trip save thing where she's like, okay, I need you to call the police, and he goes, oh, this car's stolen. Shut the car down. It's like, is there anything I can help you with? Like, screw you. Get out of my funny. Um, I mean, I love, when they all explode, they did it all practical. They didn't do a bunch of like if they did that CGI, that would have sucked
Oh yeah. That would have sucked so
laying them
bad.
out.
you need to have the like I think one of the best parts is having the blood end
Yeah.
up on her at the end. Like she's drenched in it and having her fiance, her ex-fiance, just his blood all over
Oh yeah.
her. Like that's
All
effective.
right. So Alex, he explodes. All she had to do was take the ring off. That's all. Like they didn't really explain the rules of how these people explode. That's my only like little nitpick
Hmm.
I would say is like wouldn't she have to like, okay, I'm gonna divorce you, then he explodes.
I think because she was technically not going to be part of the family
Yeah.
until the ritual was over, in which case that she would not become part of the family because she'd be dead. I think that, I mean, it's never happened before
Yeah.
where the girl or the person succeeds who's being inducted into the family. I think that there's no rules, or they've not experienced what rules happen in
Yeah. It doesn't
consequence.
have to be an official annulment for him to explode.
Yeah,
Sorry, that's
because she was not
paperwork,
officially
sir.
part of the family anymore.
Here's some paperwork for you to sign, and then you will die.
Hmm. And I think seeing the whoever is the ghost guy is, the one who started the whole entire
Yeah. The bail.
uh, situation. Yeah, he it seems like he was less like he wanted the family to eventually die. Almost, he's this kind of
Yeah.
like spirit that seemed to be. He was very happy that Samara Weaving's character
Yeah,
beat
he's kind of like the
the
devil.
game.
He's like, look, I'm so sick of people.
Hmm.
Thank God,
Yeah.
thank you for killing them.
Hmm. Yeah, these are awful. This is an awful
Like,
family. I knew that they were going to end eventually, but they deserve to. They sold their souls to me, and now
yeah,
they're mine.
I thought
Almost.
like the way they would die was like later on or something. Like I thought they were gonna have like a slow death, like they would die of like cancer or
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
They
I
just,
thought so too. Like they get like a terminal disease.
which is why I think the explosion works because they play it straight throughout the.
Hmm.
So the fact that they just do it in that point makes it work. Like
Hmm.
if we had
Yeah,
all that like if we had like the Stevens coming back from the dead or something stupid like that, and then it really I don't know if it would work. It would be like, oh, it's another horror movie we've seen 15,000 times. They're zombies.
yeah. That
They're not.
the head explosion cements it as something that's final.
Yeah,
Like it's you're definitely dead. You're gone.
yeah. What did you think of her? The idea. I love the idea of her wedding dress being like Die Hard. That they
Yeah,
it's slow.
I listened to your
Yeah,
podcast talking about that. I think that's a very good idea because we also have not had that in uh, a horror movie with or a movie with a
yeah,
female in it. And I think that having that also the wedding dress versus the like Die Hard tank top, the wedding dress is even more pure. Is something that is, and then she constantly just has to rip it up and tear it up and make it smaller. And uh, I thought that was a really cool. Yeah, I thought that was a really good touch, and it was very effective in terms of showing what kind of character she was.
yeah, yeah. She's like, well, like, she's not this girl. It's like, oh God, I don't want to rip my dress. I'm
Hmm.
staying in this long gown because I can't handle it. It's too pretty to for me to rip. No,
Yeah,
I got to get out of this thing. I can't.
yeah.
I got to fight.
I can't move around in this. Yeah,
Only,
you can sense that she doesn't like it's not she's something it's something she would prefer not to be in from the beginning almost. She doesn't like the kind of fancy uh situation. She doesn't get along with that kind of vibe. She it seems like she'd be at much more at home in like a casual attire,
yeah. Like,
which is why she has those Converse
yeah.
on.
When she's in the kitchen, the only thing I think that might have helped her a little bit is she should have grabbed a banana.
Get some
Get a
potassium, yeah.
little something. I mean, look, you gotta run and stuff. And grab the banana. Be like, I don't have to eat again for hours. Go here.
I mean, yeah, actually what I think happens after the movie is that she's like, now finally I can eat. And she goes to a burger
Yeah.
joint and orders like 20 burgers.
Oh, I realized this. You know what this kind of reminds me a little bit of? A little bit of Happy Death Day in some ways. Like it's flipping the genre on the side a little
Hmm.
bit. Did you ever see that movie?
I didn't, but I forgot about it.
See
It's on my
that? Yeah,
list.
I was surprised. I thought that was going to be awful, but because it's a PG-13, and I'm like, they usually just do the same thing. But here, it was
Hmm.
that's a cool twist on that. So yeah. Um,
Yeah.
one other film I'd recommend you to see is The Final Girl. That is,
Ooh, what's that one?
it's it's complicated. It's like they go and see a movie and they get stuck in the movie, like a in a
Oh, cool.
like a Friday the 13th movie, and they're like intelligent, like look, we can't do that because we know that's why the killer's coming. That's what happens in this movie, you know. And there's one point where like the virgin who's supposed to kill the killer dies, and they're like, well, now what do we do? Well, we'll think of something else. It's really good. I don't want this to be about that film, but you should see that. That's a good recommendation. Those two, Happy Death Day and the final girl, or is it the final girls? Anyways, it's really good.
Yeah, I'll look it
It's
up. I'll look them up.
it's a good like little piece to go with this film. Last thing I want to talk about is how do you think this film's going to be remembered? Do you think people are going to remember this film? Do you think it's going to be a cult film? Do you think what,
I could see it going both ways. I think cult films tend to have. I think there kind of becomes a combination of the two nowadays because cult films tend to now because we have access to them become more than cult films. Like The Room was a cult film, but now everybody has seen it and enjoys it, and it's kind of transcended that. I think that um, I hope that Ready or Not becomes more than a cult classic because I think that it, like you said, in regards to the other movies, I think that it bends the genre a little bit. Like it's not afraid to play around with the tropes
mm,
of horror movies. That I think that it'll be in terms of the horror genre. I think it'll be kind of set in the same realm as Cabin in the Woods
mm,
of these films that you are going and expecting the classic horror movie, but the filmmakers wanted to do something different and expand how we make these movies. So I think that I hope that it's in that same kind of realm. I hope that it ends up in the league of Quiet Place and Cabin in the Woods because it does something different.
mm. Interesting. Do you feel well, you know that the this directing team is going to direct Scream 5.
Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't, but that would be I mean I believe in this team. I
Yeah,
think that they're really
they're
good
good.
writers, really good directors. That it seems like the perfect fit for them. Because Scream is also semi self-aware and funny, poking fun at itself a little bit. That I think it's the perfect matchup.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's going to be one last thing. Do you think they should do a sequel to this, or would that hurt it?
I think that I mean I think you may have to change the title. I feel like if it was called Ready or Not and then it was a sequel following Samara Weaving's
Mm.
character, then unless it was something also having to do with hide and seek, it would kind of
Yeah.
harm it. But I still want to see I want to see what how the character is affected post credits.
I,
I think that'd be cool. But I could also see then it being an anthology based thing where this uh, Mr. LaBelle ends up doing this too. This is not the only family, and we follow a different rich family who has to do the same thing. But then it would follow the
well,
same
they
exact
hinted
tropes.
at that. He talks about the Van Horns, and that
Hmm.
you don't want to know how they died. And
Hmm. Which that might be cool to see is like a earlier family that that went through the same thing. But I think that I don't know. It would be hard to justify that because you know what's going to happen and you know essentially you're just looking to see how they died.
yeah,
So I don't know. I don't know if I think that if there was to be a sequel, I think maybe we would have to follow Samara Weaving's character, see how she's affected by it or what situation she gets into next. But it may not be the same film, like type of film.
would you do a prequel?
I think so. I mean, like maybe it'd be interesting to see all the way back at the beginning of when the deal started, the original group, the original family, with LaBelle, so we like actually meet him.
Would that be
Like that
that
might be
like
actually pretty cool.
what they did with Prometheus? It's like, hey, let's see how the alien ship got here. You know, like,
Yeah.
oh, that sounds fun for like what, 10 minutes, and it's like,
Yeah. That's a tough part I'm struggling with in terms of my answers. Like I don't know. It would be hard to make a sequel or a prequel without following the same exact formula almost, you know? And I don't think that, I think what Ready or Not does well is that it plays around with the formula. It goes against the formula.
yeah, yeah. All right. Well, I think that about does it. I mean, we covered pretty much. Do you have anything else to say about Ready or Not?
No, I think if people haven't seen it, I think people have probably seen it at this point if they
Yeah,
listened to the first episode.
there.
But if you're still
If
not, if
you're
you still haven't seen it, what are you
the
doing?
film and you're listening to this, we're sorry
Yeah.
for doing the whole film for you.
If you're still undecided, like everything is spoiled for you, I still think you should see the
Yeah.
film. It's really good. And uh, yeah, that's pretty much
Yeah,
it.
this one guy
Like, I got nothing
like
else to say.
I'm gonna watch this film, and now these two ruined it for me.
It's like, why are you
Yeah,
listening to
why
a
would you?
podcast about it then,
Yes, but a
man?
film you've not seen.
Yeah. This, like, why are you just listening to podcasts about movies without watching the movie
So
yourself?
that
What kind of crazy
yeah, so
person are you?
hypothetical person, I'm sorry, it's not our fault.
Yeah. Yeah. You should have known. Don't be an idiot.
Um, so how can people reach you?
Oh, people can reach me on my Instagram, which is Khail, Khail underscore Drogo,
Okay, cool.
which is modeled after Khal Drogo from Game of Thrones. And then
Oh,
my Facebook, which is just Kyle Duggan.
cool, cool. Do you have Twitter?
No, I'm a very old man, so all I got is Instagram and Facebook. I'm not like the cool kids. I do have a TikTok,
You
but
do have it.
I don't post on that. Yeah, because people strong arm me
I,
into getting
I've
it.
got a TikTok too. I still haven't done anything with it. I'm thinking about just doing one where it's like I want to make like the most boring TikTok in the world. Just like film like film.
You should just do film related TikToks. You should do movie scene, like recreate like certain of your favorite movie
Yeah,
scenes and make a TikTok out of that. I think you'd be good. You've watched a lot of movies. You should do that.
yeah. This is the scene in Citizen Kane.
Just do like
Sitting at a
really
table.
classic scenes with really crappy outfits.
No, I'll just ruin Citizen Kane. I'll tell you. Yeah, you want to know what Rosebud's about? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
That would be
your TikTok is all spoiling movies.
It'd be like going into like a movie theater, like telling that, standing up at like the, going like up to the front of the, and I'd say, okay, guys, this guy dies and this is what happens. Good night. Have a fun.
And then get booed off. Yeah.
I don't know if he did that in some places. I think yeah, New York. I don't think that would go over.
Yeah.
But hey, I just ruined your whole movie.
Especially if it was like the Avengers or
Oh,
something. People would be so upset.
yeah. I don't know if I would be able to get out. They'd be like,
No, dude, yeah, people would beat you up.
really needs to be, it's like the guy, who is it, the fan guy who like parachuted into the boxing match and ruined the boxing, and they like carried him out, and like as he carried out, people were pelting him with stuff.
Hey, although if I was there, that'd be legendary. I couldn't be mad at that guy. He parachuted into the match. I'd be like, okay, that
But
was a lot of work.
a lot of money
I can't fault you for
on
that
that
work.
fight, and like all just went nowhere.
Like if a guy parachuted into a screening of a Marvel movie in like a full-on Iron Man
Yeah,
suit, I can't be
yeah,
mad
he
at that
yeah
guy. Even if he interrupts the ending, I'd be like, dude,
he
that was
parachutes
cool.
in and says, "Well, this movie, this is what happens."
I'd be like, okay, man, I'm upset that you ruined it, but like, who else can say they saw Iron Man
Well, now
parachute
you
into
could
the
do it.
movie?
Now, everything private. I don't know if be in a
Hmm.
movie theater again. I, um,
Yeah,
they
that's
took
true.
Tenet off the schedule completely,
Oh yeah, I'm upset about
which
that.
is like, okay, so I mean, one, I only want to see that one in the theater. That's gonna be lame seeing that the first time on like what a regular 40-inch TV, a 50-inch.
Also, we're gonna be waiting so long for it. it's done. Like the movie's done, but we just have to wait
Yeah,
for it, which kind of
I
sucks.
know. I think Eternal done too, and Black Widow. I mean, Mulan,
I'm upset about Quiet Place too, because that was about to release.
Halloween too. The Halloween Kills.
No, Quiet Place
Yeah,
too.
you got both of them. I think have been
Oh,
scheduled.
yeah, geez.
It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, once movies open up again, which maybe they won't, but if theaters open up again, then how many movies are going to be showing? It's going to be so many movies.
All right, man. I am gonna let you go. This has
All
been.
right, thank you for having me
Oh
on.
yeah, 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 yeah. Let me let you say thank you. I just cut you off there. All right,
Let me say
thanks.
thank you. Thanks for having me on, Justin.
All right, cool.
Congratulations on your
Well,
podcast. It's some good listening.
thank you.
Just for the audience members, this dude knows more about movies than anybody I've met.
I did a lot
So if
of film.
dude does his research.
I watched this film 3 times. I watched it 3 times with commentary. Then I watched the featurette 3 times. Then I watched all the junket crap they do. Yeah, I know where they're like on Rotten Tomatoes, like, hey, tell us about the film. All the film's about this, this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
And you've seen Dark Knight more than anybody, I think,
probably.
ever.
Oh yeah, and Joker. No, I'm actually doing a commentary on Joker. I'm finishing that up. I just have been watching it and doing that.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
So I'm gonna let you go. This has been the DMF. I am your host, Justin Yance, and I will see you next time.